Syndicated presents Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian.
Well, I got to ask Matt Shepard a question because he just told me something right before we went on the air.
Yeah.
So, Shep, you went golfing yesterday, and like tee time, you said the tee time temperature. Like I can hear Bob Vergalis, like, "Hey, Tiger fans, opening pitch." 32 degrees, and people would cheer. And I'd look around me going, there's nothing to cheer about. It's 32 fucking degrees. What's wrong with you? Right.
Right.
But I can hear Bob Vergalis. Is that how you say it?
Vergalis. I mean, all you had to do was listen. He actually identified himself as the PA announcer, which more and more people, I suppose, are doing. I never understood it, but whatever.
His pipes. Gosh, I hope when puberty hits, I can have pipes like his or yours. But like,
I'd rather have Paul Carey's. But go ahead.
Did you like? It's 37 degrees. Like, do I'm not trying to each your own. Okay, I'm serious.
Go ahead. That's all right.
Did you enjoy it? Did you like golfing?
Yeah, I played. It's only 9 holes, right? So
okay,
I've got the bug. I've been inside too much. I've been playing in simulators a little bit on the weekends sometimes, and yeah, damn right. I played at 37. A buddy of mine texted me, I don't know, about 12:30. He says, "Shep, I've got a tee time at 3:30. Do you want to play?" I immediately said yes. I got there a little bit before 3. We teed off early because there was nobody else out on the course. And I looked at it, Sean, sort of like I'm playing the British Open. The wind was howling. There was no rain, but the wind was howling. It was cold. And I said to myself, you know what? Let's just let's play a different game. Instead of taking driver, why not hit with an iron and try to hit a low stinger? Like I can really do that. But overall, look, I didn't lose any golf balls. I played quick. I was in fair territory, quote unquote, the entire time. Played 1 ball, and I shot pretty well. It wasn't great, but I shot a 42. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, so,
yeah. So I mean, it was good. The thing about it is, I wish I'd learned my lesson a little bit more.
All right.
When it's that cold, the ball just doesn't travel that far.
No.
So why am I not clubbing up more often? I'm a little short. Why am I short? Because I use the club from 150 like I would in the summertime instead of using the 8. Why wouldn't I go to a 7? Because I'm not smart. But it was fun. I had a blast. I really did.
And the reason why I ask is Shep, like, honestly, especially like the older I get, I can't do it anymore. Like I was going to put a small brisket on today, and like I walked downstairs, to where the smokers are and everything. Yeah. I walked outside, and I'm not joking. I had this brisket. I prepared it. I put all the little wacky rub on it to give it some good bark. And like I walked outside, it was like that Simpsons thing you see where I walked right outside and then I turned around and walked right back in. It was like, the wind started howling. You don't get an even like cook when the wind is like that and everything. I just no. I had it.
Will you save that for tomorrow if it gets a little warmer? It's supposed to be warm by the end of the week, right?
As long as the wind isn't blowing, because the wind is what really wreaks havoc on it.
Yeah.
It's the wind starts howling and everything, and it's like, no way, I got no time. Like Jack and I've been talking him into going to old man walks for me. We didn't even take the old man walk today. My dad's.
Do you start to feel it in your bones a little bit more as you get older? I do. Yep. I definitely feel that.
It really is, Shep. Honest to goodness, it's one of those like the old injury thing. Like you kind of feel it there, and I don't know if it's in my head or not, but
I agree with you.
There,
Yeah, that's really good. Eric says, Shep, it's not good for the course. Mud. It was cold enough yesterday, Eric, where it wasn't muddy. It was, I don't want to say frozen, but at 37 degrees, you're not making any imprints whatsoever. Let's put it this way. I didn't have any mud balls. Okay. So it was a little harder than you might think. So the mud was not a problem. Okay, I can promise you that because I'm not a big believer in chewing up the golf track or golf courses. So I kept the cart on the path the entire time, and it was not muddy. So you can rest assured that's how it went.
A couple comments. Shep and Sean, what's up? Tom said, good evening, Sean and Matt. You mentioned my L-Town boy, Tony Sierra. The back hardware hates the cold. No mud balls are good from Eric as well. So, yeah, if the wind isn't blowing, Shep, like on it, anybody who smokes out there, wind will wreak havoc with your smoke. Like, it just does. So it's like,
I get it. Yeah.
I'm not doing it. I'm not
How
doing
long? How long do you stay out there with the brisket, or do you just put it on and leave?
Brisket is a set it and forget it type of thing,
Okay.
but with the smaller ones, I tend to baby it a little bit more. I should in reality baby the bigger ones more, but the smaller ones I baby a little bit more, and you know, when you get to that, you know, I call it the Stall brothers. You know, the stall when the
Mark
cook
Stall,
stalls between when the stall happens between 160 and 170. To just stay there for a while, and I'll shake my fist and yell at all the Stall brothers, all of them, Eric, Mark, all you damn Stall brothers. That's when I usually grab the butcher paper and kind of wrap it up, and then I have to keep a closer eye on it, you know, because I don't want it to get too moist, but yet I don't want it to get more dried, and I got to get it to 203 so it keeps moist and everything. So when it's like this, no way. No way.
I just thought maybe if it's this cold out, you just ask some of the help to go out and look at it for a little while. All right. So how much basketball did you watch over the weekend?
A lot.
Me too.
I mean, a lot.
What team jumped besides Duke? Because Duke is really impressive. What team jumped out at you most?
That's tough to say because heading into the tournament, I like Florida a lot. I do. I like Florida.
Really good.
I like Florida a lot. Honestly, I like what I saw out of, to quote Pat Summerall, Ole Mills. I liked what I saw out of Ole Mills yesterday. It made me say to myself, oh my goodness, you know, this might be a more difficult matchup for Michigan State. More on that in a second. But I liked Ole Mills. You never know what you're going to get out of them. I get that. They're one of those teams. But I thought Ole Mills was impressive.
So for me, first round, I absolutely loved what Creighton did. I mean, the shooting ability was unbelievable. I got to be honest with you. Arkansas has been really impressive. And I know it's because they're a 10 seed and I didn't really expect them to be there. But I felt like Arkansas and Houston, besides obviously Duke, Arkansas and Houston really impressed me.
Yeah. Skydog said Houston and Auburn. Sean on his
Auburn, not so much. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Maybe I'm expecting too much of the number one overall seed and a team that was sitting atop the overall rankings in 8 straight weeks. But, you know, the early start against Alabama State was a little surprising. I think they'll beat Michigan. Don't get me wrong. I understand why they're a 1 seed. I'm not questioning that at all. I just think they're, of all the ones, Duke, Florida, Houston, and Auburn, I would say the other 3 have been more impressive to me anyway than Auburn so far.
Can I throw this out there? You started with Michigan, so I'll roll with it. I think Michigan is a really, really predictable team, and this is what I mean. This is a compliment, and especially once Dusty May gets time honored, his guys in there.
Well, he does have his guys in there.
No, but yeah, I'm talking about across the board. You know, when you have year one, you know, you're talking about up and down that roster. Old bet, okay, but whatever. All right, Shep, if they hit their threes and they limit the turnovers, okay, because you know as well as I do that's an issue with the way they play.
Sure.
Would your jaw drop if they beat Auburn?
Yes.
Would it really?
Yeah, it would. Because first of all, those are 2 big ifs. The first if, they were good early on, they were bad late. The second if has been consistently them. So I can't say that if they limit their turnovers, they're a team that ranks 340, I don't know, 189th, I think is what I saw overall. Last among Power 4 teams, led the Big Ten in turnovers. So I just believe that's who they are. So I can't say that if they limit that, anybody who hits their threes. I mean, how many Michigan State made?
Of
4?
course.
Yeah. So I think that's a given. I don't know if they're capable of doing that on a regular basis, but I think Auburn is just as capable. I think it's going to be hard for Michigan to match up with Auburn. I'd love to see them win because I think Michigan State's going to win over Ole Miss, and I think that would be spectacular theater for all of us. But I just don't see that happening. That said, Sean, I had them losing to Texas A&M in the second round. So I have been wrong before. Kudos to Michigan. Happy as hell that they're this far. Just didn't expect it.
I hope you understand the context in which I'm saying it. There's a difference between turning the ball over and turning the ball over. Okay,
Yeah,
this is a team that is prone to, look, we're at 19 now and things like that.
Yeah.
You limit it. I don't know. I think they can stick around because, and the reason why I say that is I feel the same way as you. I mean, with all due respect to Bruce Pearl, I've watched Auburn a few times and I'm kind of like, okay, all right. Like I haven't come away going, ooh, sometimes you get those teams where, ooh, I don't know. I just haven't got that feeling watching Auburn.
No, I get it. I understand that. I'm not going to claim to have watched every single game of Auburn like I've watched every game of Michigan or Michigan State. But I think there's a reason they're the one overall. I think that's really impressive to win what people consider the best conference during the regular season anyway, in America. And I'm not going to slight that. I'm not a huge Bruce Pearl fan, but he is a decent enough coach. I think he's a great coach, but he's a decent enough coach. It's kind of like yesterday I'm watching, like, that's why I don't believe in Rick Barnes in Tennessee. I like Rick Barnes. I just don't think he's a really good coach. That's the reason when Michigan State was down 10 yesterday, and my wife looked at me, she goes, do you think people should be nervous for Michigan State? I said, absolutely not.
No.
Right away. I said,
No.
Michigan State's going to win this game by double digits. Now they won by 8, so I was wrong. But I said, Richard Pitino, anytime I dealt with him while calling the Big Ten, he was really a nice guy. But the discrepancy between coaching is way, way up here at the ceiling, and he's way down here. So I never questioned that. I'm not sure about Auburn and Bruce Pearl against Dusty May in Michigan. I just look at it and I see Auburn as being just a much more consistent basketball team. That's all.
Yeah. All right. Very quickly, more thoughts. Gosh, I couldn't agree with you more. I called. I'll explain it to you when we come back. I called watching the Michigan State game a chore yesterday. That's really the way that I felt watching the game, and I'll explain it to you. Hey, did you know that thousands of Metro Detroiters have already called Legacy Partners to get help with their new home and auto insurance? Our friends at Legacy Partners are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agents, and they provide a full-service, one-stop solution for all of your insurance needs, personal and business, large and small. Like, no joke, Alex, one of the fine guys at Legacy Partners, did it all. Boom, one step.
Boom.
Legacy has helped lots of people out there by fixing mistakes other agents have made, asking the right questions to get the right coverage put in place to properly protect you, and help save you some money at the same time. Chances are, if you haven't checked your policies in the last year, you're paying too much and you could be underinsured. What are you waiting for? Give Legacy a chance to help with your home, your cars, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, or your business insurance needs. They'll take care of you like they took care of me. Call them today, 586-209-4106, or visit legacypartnersins.com to get started with your new quotes. Shep, by the way, Rick Barnes is one of those guys that, like, it looks like he went into a movie makeup class, and all of a sudden, like, I just remember him being 35 forever, and now they made him look older. Like, and like, honestly, when I saw him on TV yesterday, I went like that. What happened?
It looks like he needs a makeup artist, a redo. But yeah,
right. You were 35 last year, and now you're 71. What the bleep happened?
Super nice guy from the 2 times that I've ever interviewed him when he was at Texas. Super nice guy, but man, just not a huge fan of how he coaches. I'm not a huge fan of Bruce Pearl for a different reason. But look, I mean, Auburn, I believe, Sean, is in the top 10 in scoring and defensive scoring. Could be wrong there. It's a team that goes to the line quite a bit, like 21 and a half, 22 times. Of course, you know what? I mean, New Mexico went 23 times per game, and Michigan State held them to 10 because they can defend without fouling. Don't know if Michigan can necessarily do that. And then, Auburn shoots, they can hit threes, man. I mean, they'll take and they make like almost 10 threes a game. So I think that's going to test Michigan an awful lot. That's the reason I kind of go a little bit toward the Tigers than the Wolverines.
All right. So I'll tell you why it was a chore, because for the exact same reason that you gave. I'm watching the game with my son, and it was unwatchable for a while. Let's be honest. Okay. And you had 9 minutes where New Mexico couldn't buy a bucket.
Right.
And yet Michigan State still trailed. I mean, it was so.
Yeah. They couldn't gain ground almost, yeah.
Yeah, in that regard, Shep, it was delaying the inevitable, because I don't care what people say. Shep, I've been in this business forever, and I don't know if you feel the same way. I still think the average human does not give the proper respect to depth versus lack of depth. It gets you every time. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you are. If one team keeps rolling 7, 8 guys at you, and you've expounded so much energy, it's going to catch up to you at one point in time. Yeah. And so, like, the second half, it was just kind of like, okay, any second now. Here it comes. And it was about waiting for it to come. So I'm not demeaning the win in any way, shape, or form. I'm happy as a pig in slop. But it was kind of one of those games where it was like, okay, come on. Can you speed this up? Come on. Yeah. We know where this is. We know
what's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, right? So that's why it was kind of like a chore. And I was, much like you said, I was watching with my son last night. He was like, Dad, are you worried? And I said, can you check back with me with about 15 minutes to go? With 15 minutes to go, you knew, especially the way they came out in the second half. You knew.
Sometimes you look at things, Sean. Sometimes you look at games, and I know this isn't always the reason, but oftentimes I'll look at a game and I go, this team's just better. In other words, they've got to fall apart, and the other team's got to play at a really high level. Now, is it possible? Absolutely.
Sure.
This team's just better, okay? And that's where I'm going with it.
Yeah. Matt said MSU misses 2 free throws, and then Baby Patino stops fouling with 23 seconds left to give us the W. He's not a very good coach. Skydog, surprise, surprise, I called Michigan's win over, and I have them going all the way to the final game before going down again to Duke.
Okay, so here's what would be my question.
All right.
And I think it's great they won their last 3 games in the Big Ten tournament to win it. Is that your heart or your head talking?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, are you so wrapped up in it emotionally that you're like, listen, I'm a Michigan fan, always have been, or I'm a Michigan grad, and I'm going with my team. I don't think it makes you any less of a fan if you feel like your head tells you the other team's going to win. You can root for your team, absolutely. I'm going to root for them too. I'm rooting for Michigan and Michigan State to go as far as they possibly can. But, I mean, at some point, my head takes over. I'm like, I just don't see that happening. I hope I'm wrong, like I said. Yeah. And I've been wrong. I picked plenty of things wrong in my bracket. I just don't see that pathway right now. They have not. Look, you look at Auburn, Sean. I think they have 5 losses, right? All 5 are the top 10 teams.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to Florida. They lost to Duke,
Alabama.
They lost to Alabama, who's ranked second. They lost to Texas A&M, and there's one more in there. I forget exactly who it is. And sure, I mean Texas A&M beat them. Are you telling me because Texas A&M beat Auburn and Michigan beat Texas A&M, that means Michigan beats Auburn? I don't play that game. I just don't do that. Because I think, didn't Purdue beat Florida earlier this year or something like that? It's like, are you kidding me? You think they're going to beat Florida? Hell no.
Did you see what Matt said?
Who?
Matt, Michigan State will throw Michigan down a flight of stairs for the 3rd time if they play again.
That's funny.
I think I'm going to go upstairs and threaten my son with a throwing down the stairs. What are you doing? What are you talking about, Dad? I will throw you down the stairs, young man.
I hope I can remember that one.
Oh, that is
a great one.
That's good. Howdy, y'all. Alan, Spenny picked UC San Diego to beat Michigan.
Who did? Who did that?
Spencer from Woodward Sports. I didn't know that. Michigan hoops has been defined.
That was why did people? Well, Seth Davis did the same thing. That was such a chic pick. Sean, I remember in 2013, Michigan was struggling going into the NCAA tournament, and they were at the Palace, and the Q pick was South Dakota State.
Yeah, that game. Yeah,
and I laughed when people said that, and then everybody I knew. Everybody picked VCU. They're going to run Michigan ragged. And I was like, and I remember, how could you forget? I remember watching the film, and I was fortunate because John Beeline allowed me to come in the film room, go over their scouting report, and then go over how they're going to beat it. And I remember leaving that, and David Merritt was my partner at the time. I said, Michigan's going to kick their ass, aren't they? And he's like, oh, yeah, because they had multiple ball handlers, right? Yeah. Blew them out of the water. Mitch McGarry was unbelievable. After that, they go to Dallas, and they get Florida. No, they get Kansas.
Great game.
The overtime. Yeah. And then they get Florida and just absolutely piss-pound Florida. I mean, just blew them out. And then they get Syracuse. And I remember watching Syracuse play Indiana, and Tom Crean was the coach of Indiana, and of course Syracuse got the 2-3 zone, as you know. And I'm thinking, the way you beat that is you put a guy in the middle of the zone, you pass it to him, he either hits cutters, or when they sag off, he hits 15-footers. Mm-hmm. What did they do? They put Hardaway there, they put McGarry there. What did Indiana try and do? Cody Zeller, lower your shoulder and drive down the side of the lane and have it get blocked back in your grill and get frustrated. That's what it was. It was an absolute clinic. So when people like, oh, it's going to be a cute thing here, I'm going to pick UC San Diego. Why? I don't know. I couldn't even tell you what conference they're in. But you know what? There's guys like Seth Davis and everybody else saying, darn it, this is the problem. They cause a lot of turnovers, and Michigan turns it over a lot. Well, to a certain extent, they were right. But the problem is UC San Diego is playing teams that aren't playing like Michigan.
Right.
You got to take that into account at some point. So yep. I don't know about Spenny or whatever it is, but I'm just telling you, bad choice right there.
Austin said Michigan hoops has been defying logic all season. Turnovers, inconsistency. Just keep winning or keeping it close all year. Just accept it and enjoy it like the Tigers last year. It's funny, Austin. That's the way. None of that Tiger stuff made sense last year. None of it.
No.
Just didn't. Sorry. And again, I keep telling people, guys, a near miracle happened last year, and there are a lot of problems heading into the season with this team. But okay,
you better believe there is.
They're gonna win the division. Eric said, "Will you sport a Michigan hat if Michigan beats Auburn?" Never.
Why would he do that?
Why would I do that? Never. I wouldn't even bet that. Hey, man, do you want to bet a Michigan State game? Loser has to wear a hat? No.
Why? That's a good bet.
I'll pee on you. No, I don't want any. Nobody wants that.
Okay.
I don't want pee.
This isn't a version of Horrible Boss.
Right. Yeah. Listen, you don't want the golden shower. I don't want that golden shower on my head. No.
Makes sense. Now that you put it that way, makes sense.
No. Auburn has 2 7-footers that match with Michigan, and Auburn clearly had the better guards. Can they win? Sure, but I'd be shocked. Matt, can you say 1989 Illinois and 1992 OSU?
Illinois was really, really good. Yeah, that's it. That's a fair point.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. Look, you want to believe in it. That's fine. I'm not saying you're wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But the Illinois one's a really good point. That Illinois team was so good.
That was
Anderson, Kendall Gill. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. Marcus Liberty. That was a couple of years span. That was a pretty good team, man.
Yeah, really good.
You know? Yeah. Let's see. UC San Diego looked like the Flint Tropics. Matt, you're on fire tonight. I was amazed after hearing how good they were all week to turn on the TV and see 5 players who couldn't dunk. Skydog said no more than I would wear the green hat, no matter what. Dude, 100%. No, I'm not. I would lose respect to you if you did. No. You don't have to be sorry for asking. Will the Tigers finish 500 this year? It's going to be tough when you can't hit. Shep, let's go there in a second. I'm going to ask you because there's a lot of problems.
Let's address Alan. Let's address Alan real quick.
Okay.
Alan says, I know you're all talking college basketball. Can I change the subject? I'd like both your opinions on Kirk Gibson not being on the Tigers broadcast. Okay. I'll go first if you don't mind. Kirk Gibson is I do love the man. I think he's just a wonderful person, things that people do not see. You see Gibby from 1984, pissed off at Bruce Gossage, pissed off at Sparky Anderson, scruffy beard, long hair, cheering, all that other stuff. I see a guy who takes $100 bills into the TV truck when nobody asks and just passes them out and says, I know I can be a lot. This is for you guys. I see a guy who he and I used to get together and coordinate a golf outing, and let's make sure we take care of our crew. I see a guy who, during a rain delay, orders food from outside the stadium and has it delivered for our entire booth. I see a guy who defies all the security and takes me into the opposing team's clubhouse before it's due to open, introduce me to Mike Matheny and any other manager who might be there, and says, let's talk about, what's going on in the game today. I see a guy who calls me up when we're on the road and says, I'm bored. You got your work done? Yes, let's go shoot pool. I see one of the best teammates I've ever had in my life. And I see a guy who every time we step into that booth, he's got pages and pages of information that will make the game interesting for you. Is he a showman like Charles Barkley or Shaquille O'Neal no. But what you used to get if you actually listened to the game, you would learn something every single time you watched a game with him in the booth. And I will miss him during those broadcasts for a lot of different reasons, right? But
so will your dog.
Especially, yeah, so will my dog. But especially that, because he's a really good man. He loves the city. He loves the team. And look, I sent something on social media, and a lot of people ripped on me for it, and that's fine. I don't care. This is about Kirk Gibson and the kind of person he is, the kind of man he is, the kind of teammate he is. And there's a lot of people said, you can be loved here and not be good in the booth and all this other stuff. I think sometimes people want to be entertained more than they lead on. If you really wanted to learn the game and see what a player, a manager, or a bench coach were thinking, then there would be absolutely no question you would want him in the broadcast booth.
Shep, I am a firm believer. I'm not going to add much more to it, but I will say that because I don't know Kirk Gibson like you do. I've had minimal interactions with him, sadly, but I couldn't agree with you more. And if people want to call us boomers, you go right ahead. I'll boom away. Yeah. I think it's funny. I keep hearing people say they don't like hot takes. I keep hearing people say that they just want to relax while watching a game and everything. And it just seems like everybody in this business wants to go in that different direction. I don't need to be entertained while I'm watching a game. Right. I don't. The entertainment is on the field. The entertainment is on the field. The entertainment is on the ice.
We're probably in the minority, Sean.
Oh, we are.
You and I are very similar in that regard with the broadcast. I think we're both agreement. When you call play-by-play, your job is to make your analyst look good. Let your analyst have a runway. Let them tell people who, what, when, where, and why. And you're right. I run into a lot of people, I get so tired of the slappiness and all this other stuff. Well, then you're the kind of person who would love a guy like that in the booth. I worked with Chris Spielman. Love working with Chris Spielman and guys like Rob Rubik and Herman Moore and Nate Burleson in the Lions preseason booth. Those guys were about X's and O's, man. They helped you know the game a little bit better. but there's not an analyst out there. And I think John Smoltz is the best. But there's nobody out there who played, managed, and was a bench coach and could take you into the mind, the philosophy, and what's taking place on the field of play like Gibby. So thank you for that.
No, absolutely phenomenal, Shep. We meant to get to it last week and we didn't. I agreed with your sentiment on Twitter, and I agreed with what you just said there. I think forget the fact that he's Kirk Gibson, and he will, whether he realizes it or not, is inconsequential. He'll have a special place in all of our hearts and minds forever until the day I leave this earth. Kirk Gibson will have a special place for me in a couple different ways because, Shep, people don't remember what an incredible football player he was. I do. Oh, I remember. I remember.
Top 10 pick, ladies and gentlemen. He'd have been a top 10 pick in the NFL. People are talking about Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders and Brian Jordan and people like that. Gibby would have been a top 10 NFL draft pick.
Yep.
That's how good of a wide receiver he was.
Hey, if you're ready to take charge of your financial future, look no further than the Wealth Advantage Group, located in historic downtown Northville and owned by those two handsome fellas right there, two brothers with over 20 years of industry experience. They understand that your financial goals are as unique as you are, and that's why they offer personalized expert guidance to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning. Now, whether you're saving for retirement, getting ready to sell your company, or already in retirement, they can help guide you through every step of your financial journey. They work with clients from all stages of life and have clients in over 20 different states. Look, the investment world, it is a complex one, but if you're ready to start taking your finances more seriously, it's time to start working with the experts. Reach out to my friends right there. Mike Husak on the left, Jeff Husak on the right. They are the Wealth Advantage Group, 248-773-8574. That's 248-773-8574. Or check out their website at www.thewealthadv.com. Yeah, Skydog, hey, listen, respect for you. Yeah, you should never want to wear the hat. I'm with you. Scott, we'll get back to your question in a second. Jason and Escanaba. Hello, friends. Jason, I think I'm doing an Escanaba game, by the way. How's that? I think we're going to do an Escanaba game coming up. Did you guys hear of Elon, some podcast saying they knew Javi was chasing sliders and was trending downward, and they decided to sign him anyway because Chris didn't want to spend any money on Correa? Pain. Just pain.
Yep. I didn't listen to the podcast. I read the article. He knew, I think what it was they knew Baez was slipping a little bit. They knew he was chasing. Look, that's who he is. You and I knew that. I remember in the offseason, just before they signed Baez, I asked a Tigers official, what are you looking forward to in the offseason? I'm looking forward to seeing which one of the shortstops we're going to sign. And I said, well, really what should matter is which one you sign, making sure they're the right fit. You don't sign one just for the sake of signing them. In case people forget, it was Correa, it was Seager, it was Simeon, it was Story, and it was Baez.
Marcus Simeon.
Yeah. Marcus Simeon's more of a second baseman, and that's fine.
But tell me you wouldn't take that, especially right now. Are you kidding me?
Oh, absolutely. Now, I would say this. In talking with people in Texas, he's not as much of a leader as I thought he was. He's a really good clubhouse guy, but he wasn't necessarily a leader. On the other hand, neither is Baez.
Yeah.
Okay? Seager really isn't like that either. Story, I'm not so sure about because he doesn't play. But Correa, look, it's no secret who the Tigers wanted and who AJ Hinch wanted. They wanted Carlos Correa for a lot of different reasons. Okay. And one of the examples was, look, when Jose Altuve was in some, media trouble because of the shirt, which was a joke, going around third base, coming home, holding the shirt, don't take it off and all that other stuff. Who's the guy who stood up for him?
Right.
Correa, right?
Yeah.
So it was a really good example. Now, he gets hurt quite a bit, so that's a little bit of an issue. Chris Ilitch didn't want to spend the money. He spent the money on Baez. Okay, at least he spent some money. I just think it was ill-advised. It was not that. I don't think the contract was set up right. I think it was a desperate move by an organization that felt like it didn't have anything coming, and they thought they had to make a move just for the sake of making a move. It's sort of like when you and I talk about the NFL draft. You don't draft for need. You draft best player. When you draft for need, you get in trouble. The Tigers had a need for a shortstop. So they did whatever they could to just get one of them instead of getting the right one.
How many times, Shep, has a guy lost their mind after the first night of the draft because the Lions drafted a running back, right? And it is one of the worst bits in the history of mankind, because I'm always left to say, hey man, I know you're new to this draft stuff. Did you know there's another couple rounds tomorrow? Wait, Shep, shh. There's also a few more rounds on Saturday. Don't you tell anybody. And if you do tell somebody, it didn't come from me. It's like, are you new to this? Like, what, these people pulling their hair out on Thursday night every year. It's like, what are you doing? Stop it.
It's the desperation part of sports. It really is.
Mhm.
Gotta make a move. We gotta do this. You gotta fix that. Not knowing anything else other than just that. You're so focused on the one thing instead of the bigger picture. It causes all kinds of issues. That's what they got into.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people who liked it when they first did it. I do. Was a former Gold Glover, hit for power. He's a little flamboyant. He makes some flashy plays. You needed a shortstop. You didn't have anything in your system per se, so they felt like it was the right move. A lot of swing and miss. They knew that. I don't know why I still don't know why they would have done something like that. The only thing that comes to mind is that they were desperate.
Henry, I got a very important question. Ketchup or gravy on a pasty? I am gravy all day.
Yeah.
There is a place, and gosh darn it, I can't remember, but in downtown Houghton, and Houghton's ex-hockey coach, shout out to Coach Markham, got us these pasties. Shep, they were the best pasties I ever had. Like, and when somebody says something like, hey man, I'm going to get you these are the best pasties you'll ever eat. Okay,
yeah. Yeah, right. Been there. I've heard that before. Yeah.
Right. Dude, I'm telling you, and Coach Markham, if you're watching, or Micah, if you're watching, let me know which ones they were, because when I go up to Houghton next year, honest to goodness, I'll go get like a big bag of them. Phenomenal pasties. As Jerry said, gravy is the only one, is the only correct answer. Shep, Austin Meadows, 60-day DL. Sorry.
All right. It's okay.
Austin, I hope he's okay. I still don't know what that whole story is. I wish him nothing but the best.
Same.
The outfield terrifies me. The platoon at third base terrifies me. So many things heading into this season just terrify me. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, you and I have talked about this. I'm really worried about the infield defense. And then you lose two of your better outfielders. So what you and I were talking about a few weeks back is at least you had Green, Meadows, and Vierling in right. That's a good defense. That's I don't know if I'd go so far it's elite, but it's a really good defense. For as good as the outfield defense was, the infield was equally as bad, I felt. If it were Young if it was Jace Young at third, he's not obviously. If you had Baez at short, if you had Torres at second, and you had Colt Keith at first, and maybe Colt Keith will adjust quicker than I think, but they're athletic and he can do that. I'm really worried. What I can't figure out is they feel like I don't think they're like this, but they're any other city. You know what you and I'd be saying about these people would be going, you guys think you're the smartest guy in the room.
Yep.
Putting Baez in center and Torkelson in right.
Yep.
Who in their right mind thinks Spencer Torkelson can play right field? So here's what I wonder. Zach McKinstry and Andy Ibanez both can do what? I mean, they're utility guys. They can play second. They can play first. Ibanez can. They can play short. They can play third. They can play outfield positions. If you're going to have Spencer Torkelson play another position, why wouldn't you have him play third where he's played before?
Yep.
Why would you put him in right field?
I
mean, if your bat is that important, here's the other thing I wonder. You signed Manuel Margot. Okay.
Oh.
Batted 239 for Minnesota last year. Had some good years in Tampa. Not many people remember it in San Diego. What does that tell you how they feel about Wenzel Perez, Kerry Carpenter, Justin Henry Malloy, and anybody else they've had roaming the outfield? What does that tell you about that? So now the big word, Sean, is it's come down to either Justin Henry Malloy or Spencer Torkelson. And I'm thinking, okay, two guys who, let the young guys play. We want to see the young guys. You're gonna keep a 30-year-old Manuel Margot over one of those two guys? That to me seems a little odd. That's all.
Yeah. No, I like the pitching staff. There's, you have some knowns and a few hopes. Let's see how I don't care what anybody says. There's no way you can replicate the bullpen magic of last year. You can't. I'm sorry. It was really, truly magical. It was once in a lifetime type of things. But Shep, add it all up, and to the guy who asked the question earlier, I think they're around a 500 team. I really do. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that this isn't 2007 redo where we all thought, oh, yeah, this division's ours. We're going to own the Central. And we had to hold off on printing those T-shirts for another 4 years. But you add it all up, I think this is a team around 500.
Well, I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm hesitant to make any pick because I don't know what this team's going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
If they're healthy and if everybody else in the division are healthy, what are they? That's a big question too. I mean, if Manuel Margot is starting, 60 plus games in center field, I agree with you. But if Parker Meadows is back and he's similar to what he was a year ago and he's playing 130 games in center field, I feel pretty good about it. If Matt Vierling is in the lineup moving from right field to third base once in a while, I feel much better about it. I don't know how much better their offense is going to be than it was a year ago. Can Riley Green duplicate 24 bombs? Can Gleyber Torres get you 25 bombs? Is Colt Keith's numbers going to be up? Will Matt Vierling continue to climb? He had a career high number of homers a year ago. Can Kerry Carpenter hit the homers at his rate? I think homers are important in baseball. In today's day and age, I think it's important. And at that field, I think OPS is really important. This team wasn't very good in any of those categories. They were terrible in on-base plus. They were terrible in on-base percentage. If you're not going to be better in that regard, it doesn't matter who's on the mound. You're not winning many baseball games. And look, I've told you this before. Scuba gave you 192 innings last year. Great. How are you going to get the innings?
Yep.
Jackson Jobe is going to be limited. Casey Mize is going to be limited. Reese Olson can only pitch so many, maybe 150. Who knows? Alex Cobb, whatever. Where are you going to get the innings? Because if you're relying on what you did a year ago, you're asking an awful lot, I think.
A couple of Youpers are saying I'm a catch-up guy, by the way. Henry and Jason are both Youpers, and they're saying catch-up on the Jason, I think it was called Roy's in Houghton. I think for some reason, Roy comes into my mind. Roy's in Houghton was the one, but they're unbelievable. They are. Passies are unbelievable. It's a meal. It's a good time. And Todd is yelling at me for something. I always love to see when the private chat. Brisky pitches 2 innings every day. Yes, that'll work out well again. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that's a recipe for success when you have to roll with that. Let's be perfectly honest. So, yes, indeed. All right, one more read for actually I have 2 more, but Shep, before we get some final thoughts. The first time, hey, when it comes time to getting yourself a house, you're buying, you're selling, oftentimes both, you need to contact the right agent. Who do we recommend? That lady right there, Lindsay Broadwell. Your house is probably the biggest investment you'll ever make, and that's why you need a pro. Lindsay grew up on the mean streets of Northville and has expanded her team all over Southeast Michigan. She's an expert in all facets of the business. When it's time to move, our friend Lindsay and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and everything goes smoothly when finding your new home. Buyer, seller, even first-time buyer, doesn't matter. Make sure you contact Lindsay at BroadwellHomes.com. She'll help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com.
All right. Last thing before we go.
All right.
One of the more concerning quotes was something you read over the weekend from Todd McClellan.
Mm-hmm.
They play Utah here shortly. And I know we're going to be both watching.
I know where you're going with this, mister. I know for a fact I know.
Yeah, I thought of you when I read this. You can talk about wanting to get in the playoffs. I think what he's asking is, the question is, are you willing to do what it takes to get in the playoffs? And this is the beauty of hockey. And I mean this. I'm guilty of it. I'll be the first one to raise my hand. When you watch a hockey game, I see, like in baseball and football, I watch everything but the ball. In basketball, I'm watching, the guys running the baseline, guys setting screens. I'm rarely watching the ball. Football, I'm watching the guards more than anything else. Baseball, I'm watching what the middle infielders are doing and where the center fielder is shading and all that other stuff. Hockey, I have a tendency to watch the puck. And what Todd McClellan is saying, are we winning battles along the end boards and the half wall? Are we in shooting lanes? Do we really want to be in shooting lanes?
Yep.
Those are things that you don't find in a box score, Sean, but it's so vital to a team's success. He's recognizing he doesn't have enough guys who are willing to do that. When he comes out and says, if you only have 85% of your guys willing to do it, then you ain't going to make the playoffs. 85% might be a little high for this team right now, don't you think?
Shep, we talked about this a couple months ago. So I got to be honest with you. I'm really happy to hear Coach McClellan say this because I brought up the old Mike Babcock quote, quotations from Mike Babcock. Nobody bought that book, but there was one quote that I've always liked. Toughness is a choice. You either choose to be tough, you either choose to pay the price, or you don't. Like that, I could face the biggest, toughest guy, and I need to make a choice that I'm gonna not, drop the gloves and go fight Brody.
Right.
But I'm gonna do what I have to do. I'm gonna get up underneath him. I'm gonna use leverage. I'm gonna stand in front of that shot and block it. And I'm not seeing a lot of guys making that choice. I'm really not. So
I'll give you another good quote. I don't know if it was Blashill or Babcock. I think it was Jeff Blashill, but I remember saying, what do you like about this guy? And he said, his gas level is high.
Mm-hmm.
I said, gas level? What do you mean? He goes, his give a shit level is high. He
Yep.
cares, similar to what you're talking about.
Yep.
I'm very careful about questioning athletes and their gas level, because guys show it in a different way. But in hockey, if you're not doing those little things on a regular basis, I think it's more evident than most.
Yeah. Tom said it is a choice, and some guys are doing it. Haven't seen anyone blocking a shot. Yeah, it's one of those things, and
not enough guys are doing it. That's the problem.
I thought it was a great quote. I did. I thought when he said that, that's it's something to remember in the offseason, because we can all talk about wanting this and all talk about wanting that, but then you have to go out and prove it, and you have to do a bunch of little things. And that's the best thing about it.
That's what I love about that sport, Sean. I mean it. I mean, I didn't play it. Okay, all my kids played it. You love it. You've played it. I don't know anyone who loves it more than you, but what I admire most about those athletes is that's what it does take. It's like PK Subban. You may not like him, but damn it, when he said that, when he called out the NBA in that regard, he's right. He's so right. It's one of the best quotes of any athlete. He says, we play hurt and we play injured. And that's what it requires in that sport. More probably as much as any other sport. I would argue more than any other sport. Football, it happens constantly, but they've got a few days to rest up. Hockey, you don't have that luxury. And I just don't see that from this team. So I wonder, is it a bad mix? It's something we can talk about maybe next week or the week after. Is it a bad mix? Why haven't they recognized in it? And it's surprising that they've put together a team that doesn't have it. Okay,
we're going to have the postmortem pretty soon. I mean, we are in that today.
13 games left, and you're 5 points back. It's hard to leapfrog that many with the schedule you got left.
And Montreal and the Islanders get points every night. Both those teams are getting points every night. It might be one, it might be two, but both of those, honestly, every night they're getting a point or two, and you just can't keep up.
And same with Ottawa. And Ottawa continues to play well.
You'll appreciate this. So Jack and he hasn't been to Milwaukee yet. I went for the first time last year. You have no reason to remember that. We're going to a Tigers-Brewers game on a Wednesday afternoon, and then driving back that night and going to see the Tigers take on the Royals at Comerica the next day.
That's cool.
Are you going to deny that? You can't deny that.
Milwaukee's a good town, Sean.
I loved it.
My
gosh.
It was really good time. It's really cool in the summertime, too.
Yeah. Hey, All About Catering LLC, full-service caterer, graduations, weddings, bridal showers, corporate events, anything you need catering for from 25 to 4,000 people. All About Catering can and will take care of you. They've done 2 graduation parties for me, another shindig. Rick and his gang, customer service and satisfaction is their number one goal. So don't sweat your next big event. Go to allaboutcateringllc.com today. Check out their menus, all their 5-star reviews. or just give them a call, 586-731-1398. That's 586-731-1398 to get your event started. Shep, what do you got going on this week? Of course, always listen to Shep in the morning. You doing anything else this week?
Yeah, not much, buddy. But we're working toward a lot of different things, both on the entertainment company and the morning show. So we appreciate the plug. How about you?
I'm just going to Toledo. Like I do a couple shifts at Woodward. I'm going to Toledo to watch Michigan State on Thursday. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, they got the right guy going. Enjoy, buddy. Hope we can talk next week about a Spartan and a Broncos win too.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. All right, thank you, Shep. Thanks to all you guys. Thanks, Todd. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. See you. Bye. Mwah.
Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Still Alive by Anti-Ghost. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.